Okay, should be good. Hello, welcome. Welcome. What are you buying? What are you selling? Define short stream. 2 hours, probably. Something like that. Maybe 2.5. Really not sure. I mostly say short because I had hoped to start sooner, but then I got stupid and I decided to write this like whole last essay talking about communication, and I knew this would set Reddit ablaze. So my stupid ass, spent forever writing the whole thing, um, because I keep responding to people about it. And of course, it's already started. It's already started. People are already like, "Oh, well, this is not accurate, and this is not accurate," and I'm just like, "Okay, just understand, this is really long, and I couldn't cover every fucking detail I wanted to write, and you're misinterpreting a lot." And yeah, anyways, I'm not gonna read that today because that's mostly focused on Hawaiians. I'll read it another time. On a different note, this is some good news. Do you post stuff on Reddit? Not often. Usually it's just me responding to someone. But basically, I kept responding to people in like a specific way, and someone like commented, and they're just like, "Huh, this could be a post in of itself." I'm like, "Hmm, you know what? Fair point." And then I just went and wrote an essay. um, so yeah, I did that. I'll probably have to respond to comments later and shit. But yeah, it's still crazy to me. Like there was one comment that bugged me. I'm gonna respond to it really quick. So there was I got one comment that low key bugged me. I'm gonna respond to it really quick because it's gonna bother me if I don't. It's gonna stay in the back of my head the whole fucking time. Um, I think it's this one. Did I click on the right one? Yeah. Okay. So first off, during the condom scene, Chizuru chose to distrust Kazuya. Okay. Read what I said carefully. Sorry, just 1 second. We'll get down to business to defeat the Huns. Okay, what I said carefully. Everyone is on her case, and that long Reddit post, that's a me, a Mario. I did a lot of doubts and fears. Yeah, she did distrust him. How long will Kazi have to study for driving classes until he gets his license? Um, uh, so it's supposed to be a month, but it can be 2 weeks if you're like constantly doing it. So they made it sound like it was 2 weeks, but it sounds like it's gonna be a month, and then that's when he's gonna get it, which makes sense. He still has a decent amount of time until July 11th, so he could get it in a month. It's absolutely possible. But that's basically what the dad told him. The dad told him in chapter 393, it's like you could get it in like 2 weeks if you tried. Um, but Kazuya always failing on the simulator. He failed once. You saw the simulator once. He failed it once, but he was complimented when he was actually driving. Like when he was actually driving, there's a scene where he was complimented. So no. It just means because it's a simulator, he didn't take it seriously. That was the problem. Specifically because it was a simulator, he didn't take it seriously. Uh, Okay, that's done. We can move on. Christ. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to start the stream like that, but this thing was like on the back of my head. So I'm like, let's deal with this bullshit first. Let's deal with this shenanigans first. What's this? Okay. So not that. There we go. So sorry, let me read some of the comments. Kazuya is a man. Question mark? What's the issue? So after reading, it's a certain that 7-Eleven couple chances meter don't move at all at map. But the difference is, I think Kazuya's the one who's gonna not moving here, not Chizuru seemingly ready. I do think what Reiji is setting up for Chizuru to save Kazuya. So I do think that's something that's going to happen. I think Chizuru is going to be the one to save Kazuya. I see that as the setup. But I could also see Kazuya saving Chizuru first in some way, like freeing her from the guilt, and in turn she saves him. But we'll see. It's literally the Steins Gate setup, where in Steins Gate it's like Okuba has to save Korosu first. I think in this case, what Kazuya has to do, in my opinion, to fix things, is to tell his family the complete truth. He has to tell the family the complete truth. In my opinion, I think the reason this is all going in the wrong direction is because they didn't tell the family the complete truth. They have to know the truth, and they have to know that that it's not Chizuru's fault. You know, and I think that could be the direction Kazuya might ultimately have to take it. But then in turn, Chizuru might save him. You know, like I don't know. We'll see. I think that could be the setup. I do think it's directly connected to Hawaiians. How long will Kazuya have to say? Okay, we already said this one. Kazuya always failing in Germany. Can you driver listen to it? Kazuya is the character here that takes the highest damage received and at the same time gets all the blame. Man, I don't want to be called my favorite by Reiji. Okay, I'm sorry. Kazuya does not get the most damage in the series. It is Chizuru by a country mile. I'm sorry. Kazuya suffers, but it is nowhere near Chizuru's pain. She fucking suffers like she literally goes through Herculean feats on her fucking own constantly. I'm sorry, no. Kazuya, like this isn't a pity contest of who got more pain and shit, but Chizuru absolutely suffered way more than any character in this entire story. She suffered more than Mommy, I would argue. I would argue Chizuru has suffered more than Mommy in many respects because she doesn't have privilege, like, at all. She has to work for literally everything she fucking does. No. I'm sorry. Kazuya has suffered a lot. I'm not going to say Kazuya didn't suffer, but if you're trying to do some fucking stupid pity party where you're like, oh, Kazuya suffered the most, no, he fucking didn't. I'm sorry. You guys are babying him because he's a dude, and a lot of dudes get their pain ignored. That's true. I genuinely believe that's true. A lot of men get their pain ignored. That doesn't mean just because a man is getting hurt that he has to be the most hurt in the fucking picture. He's fucking not. Absolutely fucking not. Now, Kazuya is starting to feel like a little bit of the pain Chizuru has been under, the abuse she's fucking suffered. He's starting to suffer that himself. He's starting to kind of learn what the fuck she's been going through, so he can really kind of start to understand what the fuck she's been suffering through this whole time. And that definitely started with Ruka's physical abuse, and now it's it's starting to turn into Mommy's emotional abuse and Minnie's emotional abuse. But I definitely think like Kazuya has to like come to the realization that like, yeah, everyone is suffering, dude. You're suffering. I'm sorry to tell you, like, not everyone's suffering is special. We all get hurt, you know? And it's like, yeah, we can address your pain and talk about it, but I think when we baby a character like this, we kind of miss the point. The thing is, Kazuya has suffered. He was abused. Chizuru was emotionally abused by Mommy, whereas Kazuya was physically abused by Ruka without like, even though Ruka didn't mean to. Whether he did or didn't. And that's something I talk about in the post, the blame thing. That's the thing. There's an issue here. You're right. On one hand, Kazuya is absolutely getting the blame for a lot of stuff. On the other hand, what Kazuya is doing right now in the story is intentionally letting himself get the blame. He's letting himself be blamed because if he's blamed, then it's nobody else's fault. It's his fault. Therefore, if it's his fault, he's always the bad guy, and it's always easier to frame yourself as the bad guy. Kazuya regularly does this. It's so much easier to blame yourself for a problem than to actually address it. Because if you're saying I am the problem, you're not addressing the real issue. It's easier to blame yourself rather than address the real issue. That's the issue with what's going on. Because what you're describing is exactly what Chizuru feels. Chizuru literally tells him in the end of Hawaiians, I don't think it's right to say it's all your fault. She literally says, I don't think it's right to say it's all your fault. The story's actively trying to tell him it's not all his fault. The story's actively going out of its way to tell him it is not your fault. However, because you're not taking responsibility for your actions, at some point, it's going to become your fault. Because you're literally letting this escalate and turn into this. It doesn't need to be this way. You don't have to blame yourself, because in blaming yourself, you are making it your fault. You're letting it be your fault. That's his issue. Kazuya's issue is victimization. He has a victim complex. He keeps blaming himself for everything because he's been trapped in that moment in Hawaiians. He never got over it. He never moved on from mommy either. And those two things like capitulate each other. They make each other stronger. Kazuya's been trapped in that moment, unable to escape, and mommy literally connects him directly to that. He can never move on. Mommy is like that reminder that he has to, like, remember when he was in, remember when they were on the date? Remember when they were on the date and mommy calls him right after you have arguably the happiest moment in the entire date. It is literally a reminder of what he is ignoring. It is a reminder of the thing he is putting to the side and he's not focusing on and he's not actually addressing. Because if he had actually addressed mommy's issues, they could have been together. But because he's so busy living in either La La Land or blaming himself, thinking it's all his fault and he's not doing enough, I'm not confessing enough to Chizuru, literally because as a mirror to Hawaiians where he didn't do a good enough confession, he's been stuck in that moment. He can't move on. That's the problem. He needs to stop blaming himself. Because in blaming himself, he's not addressing the real issues, like mommy and the abuse she inflicted on Chizuru, or the abuse Ruka has inflicted on Kazuya. Or the fact that, like, the entire movie arc started specifically because Ruka abused Kazuya. Something I wrote in that post. I really recommend you give that post a read. Like, if you get a chance, I recommend you give that long-ass post a read, because I address a lot of this stuff. But let's read what Mute wrote for now. Let's just get into chapter 422. Yes, and Kazuya being blamed by the readers is important too, because the readers themselves misunderstand Kazuya, right? The readers themselves misunderstand this character, and they want to blame him for everything. But they're not. But in blaming him, in blaming Kazuya, you have fundamentally misunderstood the point. In blaming Kazuya for everything, you've missed the point. You're not addressing the real thing he needs to focus on. And that's the problem. I genuinely think, like, Kazuya's going to blame himself for everything, and Chizuru's going to be the one who's going to tell him, hey, yo, stop blaming yourself. It's not all your fault. I chose to do some of these things. These were choices I made. Because it is true. These are choices she ultimately chose to make. Anyways, this is my analysis and impression piece of the satisfaction rating 422. This time's theme is the weight of 1,400 characters. Even when rebuffed by Yamori-san, Kazuya remains deadly serious, and we're zooming in on the gap. The gap. Let's translate with deep L. I don't know what that means. Okay. When teased by Iamori, Kazuya remains deadly serious, keeping an eye out for that contrast. Okay. Oh, I know. Let's try just translating the whole page. Even though Iamori is put off, Kazuya is completely serious, so paying attention to that. So pay attention to that contrast. Okay, this makes a lot more sense. Both of the immediate translations made no fucking sense to me. The AI translation from Grok fucking sucks. And then the Deep L translation is a little too meticulous that it misses the point, but the Google translation seems the most accurate. Let's continue here. I'm going to turn on the lights. Give me a sec. Oh yeah, some good news. Some good news. I forgot to tell you guys. There's some good news. So I actually moved my I was able to swap my shift with someone. So Monday I can stream. Monday I can stream right as the chapter comes out. So the chapter does come out Monday, and I can stream right as the chapter comes out. Hell yeah! I was able. I got lucky. I was able to swap my shift with someone. So got pretty lucky there. But yeah. Tuesday I'll work, but it should be fine. You know, it's just a morning shift. Okay. So where were we? Kazuya calls himself. Kazuya calls his confession a letter. Kazuya calls his confession letter a masterpiece. Considering that considering that it's 3 times longer than the text on page 6, it certainly is a masterpiece. But the problem is that it's not an expression of his true feelings, but merely a collection of beautifully embellished sentences. See, what I was really interested in is that I'm curious how it sounds as a song, because everyone's saying like these are song lyrics, and to me it sounds more like a poem. To me, when I heard it, so why is the new chapter on Monday? A Golden Week. So Golden Week is going to start, and they're releasing it early because Golden Week starts on Wednesday. Remember, our Tuesday is their Wednesday. So for us, they're releasing the chapter. For them, they're releasing the chapter on Tuesday. For us, it's coming out on Monday. So that's why. And then afterwards, we're not going to have a chapter for a week. So there's going to be like so after Monday, you're going to go through a whole week, and then the week after, there's no chapter. And then finally we're going to get a chapter, and then there's going to be another break from what I recall correctly. Like after Golden Week, there's always another break. So we're going to get a chapter, and then there's going to be another break. If I recall correctly, I could be fucking wrong. I could be wrong, but if I recall correctly, there's always another break week after Golden Week. Let's continue. Oh yeah, so one thing I do want to point out to you guys, that I don't think many people caught. So Kazuya's thing that he wrote in this chapter. So let me pull it up. Okay, so this thing that Kazuya wrote in this chapter, I'm surprised not many people clock this, but I'm going to take you to a chapter where Kazuya does something almost fucking identical. And again, it's kind of crazy to me no one fucking clocked it. Huh. Isn't that weird? Do you see a similarity? Do you see a similarity? I sure as hope as fuck you do. I sure hope you see a similarity. He says, ha ha ha, again. How do you start the chapter? He looks in the mirror and says, ha ha ha. Huh. Isn't that interesting? Now, I ask you another question. Where did Kazuya get the plan for the date? So so what this is the plan for Joy Polis. Where did he get this plan again? Sumi. Conveniently, right after going to talk to Sumi, he writes this? What are the odds? What are the odds? Huh. It's almost like all he's doing is just reenacting stuff with Sumi. He's writing things for Sumi. He's not doing this for Chizuru. This isn't for Chizuru. Even the Joy Polis state, you gotta wonder, is this for Chizuru? Or is this for Sumi? Huh. Who is he creating this for? A rental girlfriend? Or his actual girlfriend? Fascinating. We'll get into this more later. Let's continue reading what Mute wrote. The reason Yamori-san was put off is partially because the writing is verbose and grammatically incorrect. Yeah, I feel like that you can't tell that very well in English. There were times where I'm just like, okay, there's a bit of redundancy there. There's a bit of stuff in there that sounds fucking weird. But like, I think because it was translated, you can't like quite tell there's like actual grammatical errors besides like weird redundancies. Like, it sounds like this is causing this. It sounds like when I was reading it, it felt like I was reading a baby's first essay. That's kind of what it felt like. It felt like I was reading a baby's first essay. Like he'd never written an essay before. You know, it didn't feel like he wrote an essay like that he was passionate about. Because you write essays for school, you know, you write essays for school, but you're not really passionate about the essays that you write in school. This felt like something he was trying to write from a place of passion. He was literally trying to create art, and he doesn't know how. He literally doesn't know how to create art. This is kind of the La La Land plotline where Kazuya is like Sebastian, tries to stuff they don't like, the jazz club and that essay. They're not in their character. Again, I think you're like very fixated specifically on La La Land when all the other films are absolutely relevant as well. In particular, I think the Dracula reference, I would argue, has a bit more potency in regards to some of that stuff. But I haven't looked through all of those films, and I don't think it's fair to specifically single out La La Land. La La Land just happens to be the last one, which I think is the most fitting as the final one to be, because each one of them follow a specific pattern. I think every single movie that Kazuya references is relevant to the Odaiba date in some way, shape, or form. I literally think every single movie Kazuya references is directly connected to the Odaiba date, without question. I think it's more about the Odaiba date than it is a foreshadowing for future events. Rather, I think it's an intentional misdirection. I think what Reiji is setting up, I think what Reiji is building up very, very intentionally, is he's building up for everything to look like it's gonna go wrong. I think he's building up for everything to look like it's gonna go wrong. Because it seems too right. You know, it seems too correct. It seems too good to be true. Every reader is probably expecting it to go wrong in some way, shape, or form. And I think what he's going to do is he's going to subvert how it's going to go wrong. I think that's what's going to be interesting. He's going to subvert how it's going to go wrong. You think it's going to go one way. You think it's not going to work out. You think their relationship is kaput. That's it. It will go wrong. Just not how you imagined it. I think that's the subversion Reiji's building up here. Because it literally looks like we're just looping into the Odaiba date. I'm already chipped that it'll all go wrong on July 11th. I kind of feel like it'll go wrong before it. I kind of feel like it'll go wrong before July 11th. I kind of just don't expect July 11th to be what we think it is. I still kind of believe like it's gonna go wrong before July 11th. So yeah, no, I do think things will go wrong. I know you're a fucking doomsday dude. Bro, Wiz, ever since you've been here, you've been fucking dooming. Man, man, you've been dooming since the fucking start. Who are we kidding? You've never not doomed. You're like doom perpetual. You and mommy would be best friends. The reason Yamori-san was put off is partially because the writing is verbose and grammatically incorrect. What's verbose? I always forget that term. Like, I've heard it before, but I always forget that term. Oh, no, whoops. Search Google for verbose. No, I'm not gonna read it from that. Let's look at this description. Containing more words than necessary. Okay, yeah. Okay, it is verbose. And then the grammatical errors, did he actually misspell things? I couldn't tell when we were first reading it. Did he actually misspell things? Or is it just redundancy? I think maybe it's just meant to be redundancy. But she probably felt a sense of crisis because she wanted Kazuya to confess his feelings unadorned and as they are. But instead, his true feelings were hidden behind flowery words. Flowery words, interesting choice. Some might argue that since Chizuru likes Kazuya, she won't dislike anything he writes, but Yamori's troubled expression stems from her not knowing what Kazuya is thinking and what Chizuru is thinking. I'd argue more from what Chizuru is thinking. She's confused because he writes in a way that hides his true feelings when a more direct expression would suffice. I think, ironically, had many dug into why Kazuya wrote this way, she might have actually helped him understand his feelings better. Instead, she told him to just simplify your feelings. He's right in that she doesn't understand, but Minnie's mistake is literally trying to avoid the problem. She's solving the problem in the same way that he's avoiding it. Let's see. If we were to compare Chizuru to a fish, she's already hooked. All that's left is to reel her in. But he's trying to jump in. But that's okay. Her target isn't a flounder or a sea bream, but a big high-class fish like a tuna. So catching it is important than whether the method of catching it is right or wrong. In other words, Yamori says that what Kazuya is doing is inefficient, but it's difficult to tell Kazuya to do things efficiently. But there is no, like, it's not about efficiency. Minnie just fundamentally misunderstands the problem. I previously discussed Kazuya's smartphone. It appears to be either an iPhone 5S or an original iPhone SE. While the 5S supports 4G LTE, it does not support Violet. Now that 3G service has ended, it's impossible to make calls with it. Furthermore, since the OS cannot be updated, there's a high probability that the latest version of apps such as Line will not be usable. While you can make calls from the SE, many apps will likely be unusable. In other words, there are problems even before considering battery life. Literally, Kazuya can't connect with the people around him because he's hanging on to this old phone that's archaic and doesn't work. He's highlighting some good points. I don't think Reiji's addressing any of these points, but this is something that I think will become relevant in some form. Oh wow, it's kind of short. Sorry. Using your smartphone while walking is not recommended. Kazuya has a significant problem with not knowing what is necessary and unnecessary in a confession letter. And the difficulty in thinking for himself stems from his excess reliance on AI and other people's opinions. See, that's the thing. The problem is you think a confession letter is even needed. That the foundation. See, he's doing the same thing. He's looking at the symptoms, not the actual root of the problem. That's where I think the misunderstanding aligns. We're looking at the symptoms of the issue. The real issue is the fact that there is a letter at all. The real issue is, like, why does this even need to be written? Period. Why does this need to exist? So critiquing the letter serves nothing. The better question is, why does this exist in the first place, and what is the letter trying to convey? And I think Minnie just doesn't delve into that. Kazuya is amazed after seeing the Mother Farm website, but what was it resonated with him so much? Judging from the preview for the next episode, it is a picture of a flower field. The date is in July, so petunias will be in full bloom. Petunias. They drive probably with a classic Aqualine and Umi Totoroot. Interesting. Flower field. This might be the play on words, comparing Kazuya's thoughts about the flower field with the flower fields to the farm. The next episode might mark the start of the farm visit episode in collaboration with Mother Farm. Right, and I think everyone is, like, dreading that. They're like, oh no, Reiji's setting up this thing where he's gonna go to this other farm and he's gonna do this bullshit. But one, that's always been a rent-a-girlfriend thing, and two, I still genuinely think it's a misdirect. I think he's gonna see a flower field, and he's gonna connect that to what he wants to say about Chizuru. I think it makes too much sense. Chizuru has always literally been like his flower. Remember what we were saying the other day when we were talking about Beauty and the Beast? Kazuya is literally the Beast and she's the Beauty. He's literally trying to hold on to a wilting flower, in this case his phone. I think the symbolism is, like, all there, in my opinion. Cyclically, you can already picture the tie-in march with all the ladies in the country's Western fashion. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. Kazuya's masterpiece might seem over the top, but it contains some good ideas. Meaning you changed my life. Your smile is the most beautiful. I want to support you. I want to support you in all your goals. No matter what happens, I'll always love you, or always you. You are and always will be the one. But that's not true. Some of these things are not true. Kazuya can't know for certain his feelings won't change. That's impossible. Change is nature. Change is nature. So you can't say my feelings won't change. I think that's super thematically fitting that he literally does not believe his emotions will change, as he literally denies change in his life. He doesn't want to change his phone. He doesn't want to change his methods. He wants to double down, triple down on the thing he's been doing before that has not been working. He's so sure his emotions will not change. And yet, I would argue they kind of have been this whole time. And he's just refusing to accept that fact. His emotions have been changing. I'm not saying he's not in love with Chizuru anymore. I'm saying his emotions have evolved. He feels more complex emotions for her. I think there's anger in there. I think there's frustration in there for Chizuru. I think there's guilt over Chizuru. I think there's a lot of emotions in there that are evolving past simply just the desire that he feels for her. And he's not addressing that. And I think his desire is starting to control his emotions. And again, these things are changing. He's just unwilling to accept that change. I want to build a life with you and ideas that could give Chizuru certainty about the relationship. Except that's the problem. You think Chizuru is the one who needs certainty about the relationship. That's not what Chizuru needs. The situation with Minnie reviewing the confession reminds me of the practice day in Joypolis. It's a direct nod to it. It's literally directly nodding to it. It's the same title. Where the advice Minnie gave Kazuya didn't quite work out with Chizuru. Now he has Sumi and Minnie's opinions at opposite ends of the spectrum. Let's hope Kazuya finds the middle ground. Well, the phone's usefulness may be minimal. The simple fact that Kazuya doesn't want to be part with the case because of his gift from Chizuru made Minnie realize just how much Kazuya is worth. No. And that made Minnie look away from the problem and see the thing that she desires, the object of her desire. No, that we've been seeing that the whole time. I think that's a misdirect. This idea of seeing Kazuya's worth and how lucky Chizuru is, these are all misdirects. Minnie is merely looking at the object of her desire, not what she actually wants. The mission to find a date spot is an S-rank challenge since they've practically done everything without being an official couple. Let's see how he handles it. I think you're missing the fucking point. It's literally not about... It's not about where you go, it's who you spend it with. And I think Kazuya is fundamentally misunderstanding that point. He keeps trying to one-up himself. Think of Kazuya... Okay, so Reiji doesn't like Marvel movies, and he doesn't really watch them. So this isn't a great analogy considering Reiji, but I think it fits the... I think it fits the bill quite well. Marvel movies are literally just kind of trying to one-up themselves, like, constantly. You know when you play a video game and you go to the next video game, the sequel, and all it did is just one-up itself. It just did more. It just took the same thing and did more. And then you keep doing more and more and more until you can't do any more. You've done everything. You can't go any higher. Stop trying to climb. Dude, you're about to float away in space. You'll blow away. It's a good... However, he seems to have become overconfident and can no longer see what's wrong with what he's doing. Yeah, I do think Kazuya is, like, very overconfident and has, like, completely lost the sauce. He has no idea what the fuck he's looking at. Okay, so many weren't expecting the July 11th, isn't it? So what's the day of reward? Kazuya gets a job, probably. Well... Remember, some of these are somewhat misdirects. So I believe a lot of the titles that we've been presented have somewhat been misdirects. I don't know what the day of reward is. I think it's a bit of a misdirect. I think all of it is a bit of a misdirect. So for instance, I realized what the moon was personally. I think the chapter where it's like the girlfriend and the moon, I realized that it was about seeing the moon. Exponential growth is a total thing. Numbers go up forever. You're talking like a real executive. You're talking like a real executive. What is that? What is that marginal? Is it like marginal profits? Just marginal profits forever and ever. So looking up the flower petunia, and there's a lot of different meanings like resentment, anger, your presence soothes me, perseverance. There's an easy way to know. There's an easy way to know. Now, we don't know for a fact Reiji's gonna show this. First off, we don't know for a fact that Reiji's gonna show this flower. So we can't say for a fact that's what we're going to see. However, if you go to the website, the first thing you see is something completely different. So I do think that the flower that I showed you guys from the website is a little more fitting because it's a real fucking flower that is on the website that you see when you go there. So I don't know. Let's see what we got here. My heart is at ease when I'm with you, and peace of mind. So that's the Japanese meaning, and that seems to be your presence soothes me. I think that's the real meaning. I'm at ease. My heart is at ease when I'm with you, and peace of mind, which I think very much aligns well with Kazuya's character, because Kazuya's whole thing is literally his name literally means peace and harmony shared under a tree. So my heart is at ease with you makes a lot of sense. I think that if these flowers do ultimately show up, I think that's the symbolism. The flowers being purple as well, as I think is very fitting, because Kazuya literally needs a place, and Chizuru wore purple clothes on the date, so this directly parallels the date, the flowers being purple. Furthermore, again, like I was saying, it literally directly connects to Kazuya needing a place of safety. He's literally disconnected from everyone around him. He feels alone. He's not at ease. He needs a peace of mind. And I think Chizuru is literally going to provide that. So it sounds like the petunia is the might be the flower, whereas the flower that we see on the website, which is what was the flower that we saw on the website? It was the Nemophilia. So the flower we saw on the website when we actually went there was the Nemophilia. And the Nemophilia aligned well with the other thing that's currently going on. Right, so the Nemophilia's meaning is success everywhere, loveliness, and I forgive you. Again, this also seems to parallel what's going on. So it's kind of hard to tell, I don't know. Actually it does tell you when these flowers bloom. Nymphalias is a birth flower. Okay, so but when do they bloom? They peak in spring. So right now in the story it's spring. But by the time they actually go to this place, it would be summer. Whereas Petunia, I think Mute was correct. It's early summer to autumn, April to October. So yeah, we are more likely to see the petunias than we are the nymphalia. But it is kind of fascinating. The nymphalia is like currently on the website when you go. Okay. Okay. So this was a fun read. This was a chill read. Let's go to 422. Is this the one I was on earlier? Yeah, it is. Okay, I was gonna leave that one. Okay. Kanojo Okarishimasu. Okarishimasu. What the fuck is Meder Medimi Vida? What an absolute is that? What language is that? Fascinating. Yeah, like I fucking knew this shit was, wait, why do I have that for myself? Why did I upvote myself? What the fuck? Yeah, there we go. 7 and 7. That's a better pick. But it's kind of sad. I hate when I hate when I work really hard on a fucking post. Fix this tab. This tab is using Esther resources to improve. Okay. Fix the tab. Okay. Yeah, I hate it when I do like a very deep, heartfelt writing thing and it just kind of like gets a few likes. That's kind of the sad part. It's like I could probably just turn this into a video. It would probably be better. I just probably turn it into a fucking video because a lot of it is just gonna people commenting and upset, and they're like, "Oh, what you wrote's fucking stupid." Blah 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 blah. Okay, 422. You need more TNA, bruh. What does TNA mean? I'm actually not sure. What does TNA mean? We talked about this yesterday. Did we? There we go. Maybe I'm slowly starting to understand Chizuru's pain. Who knows? Or maybe I'm starting to gain some insight into what Chizuru's feeling. That would be pretty cool. I mean, that's what Reiji's building up. Man, I don't like this dude's posts. They're always like needlessly complicated. And he kind of misses a lot of shit too. Kind of shocked that the ego boost Kazuya got from Sumi lasted a whole 2 pages. No, I think it was a lot more than 2. Sorry, I meant Tifa and Aerith. You need more Tifa and Aerith, bruh. Totally. Wait, what do you mean? Why do I need more Tifa and Aerith? What is Tifa and Aerith gonna do for me? I'd love to have a real Tifa and Aerith, but that's not happening. I don't know what that means. I do not understand. Sorry, I left the stuff over here yesterday. I didn't bother moving them, so I've just kind of been looking at them. Okay, it's 7 o'clock. I gotta lock the fuck in. We've been streaming for almost an hour. What the fuck did my previous comment disappear? Huh, so that does happen to people. So the last thing I see is totally sorry, I meant Tifa and Aerith. We talked about this yesterday. Okay. If you had told me it was going to be another mini chapter, I'd be rolling my eyes. But credit where it's due. She's right, and he's overdoing it. I'm curious if Kazuya will realize he won't what is going on with the difference between what Sumi advises and what Minnie's advising here. Neither of them actually know what Chizuru wants. Sumi and Minnie are speaking for themselves, simply as is. I agree with this. This is actually quite accurate. I agree with this. Here, just write your comment again. I think the fact that he actually puts into words some of what he wants is a pretty big deal. Unfortunately, it's hidden in a text between a fuck ton of flowery and dramatic prose that he hides his real feelings. It's too long, but I do hope he saved the draft because it would do something funny for them to look at it in the future. I've been highly critical of him trying to be someone else for hundreds of chapters. So it's kind of a bummer that when he finally lets some of himself out, it's an oh no situation because he's as guarded on his writing as he is IRL. Well, that's the thing. It's like you have to understand what you're trying to say. Like even I look at my writing and like I change what I wrote, you know. Love the conversation about the phone. That's the stuff that melts hearts. The envy from Minnie is palpable. It can also be read as him not taking proper care of himself to keep something that doesn't work. Their relationship has to grow beyond Kazuya as the broken phone that Chizuru holds together. Repairing the phone instead of replacing it would be a nice step, both physically and metaphorically. New battery and a screen replacement as a visual indicator that he can finally get his head on straight. I don't know. No, he literally has to replace the phone. I'm sorry, but there comes a point like Mute was kind of describing it really well. There comes a point where your phone is literally not going to be supported. So your approach is no longer going to work. You can't use the phone anymore. It's literally going to be unusable soon. You know, like the phone is really old. It's going to be unusable soon. And Kazuya has to come to terms with that he can't use this thing. I think the phone, in my opinion, what it represents is Kazuya's unwillingness to change, right? So therefore, you gotta attach more cake to your intelligent essays, obviously. What? Oh, because Tifa and Aerith? But what kind of cake are we talking? Oh, you mean I should just like post a picture of like Chizuru's ass in the front of my thing? I mean, I guess, but this is Reddit. Like, that's a little different. And plus, I can't edit it now. It's already posted. I think if anything, I just think the what I wrote. Did my last 2 comments disappear too? It sounds like it. Just write me like a mini essay and then double send it. You know, just copy the essay and then double send it. Problem solved. Kazuya is still struggling with. Okay, so let me reload the page really quick. Okay. Kazuya's still struggling with what to say. Just to be direct and honest, you sweet goofball. He doesn't know what that. See, this is the problem. He doesn't know what direct and honest means, and he doesn't know how to be direct and honest. you can tell someone be direct and honest as much as you want, but it's not going to matter if they don't know what that means. Kazuya doesn't understand what it means to be direct and honest. You're talking about a person in a not only in a culture where it's very hard to express yourself, but at the same time, someone who's suffering through grief and trauma. So he literally doesn't know how to do that. You can keep saying that, but like the reason this is the irony of what people are saying here. The reason what you're saying isn't working is because you're not changing your approach. You're like, oh, just be honest, just be honest, just be honest. Okay, you're not asking why can't he be honest? Almost like he doesn't know how to. Because Kazuya used to be able to be honest about certain things, but it's like he literally can't anymore. And so your mistake is you're just telling him to be honest and just ignoring the real fucking issue that's going on, which is his trauma, that he's been trapped in Hawaiians this whole time. To struggle with company ideas, considering everything that they've done already, is real, in my opinion. What they are doing doesn't matter as much as simply being together. The firm date for the sheepdog trial sounds cute as hell, and I kind of love it. It does show that he is looking for something fun and different. The dates don't line up, so either that's an error or something similar will end up being the final plan. Cynically, you can already see that the tie in merch with all the ladies dressed up in country western fashion. I'm pretty sure they've already done that. Pretty sure they've already done that. I was expecting. So I think Kazuya trying to one up himself with going to this farm, I think is a meta commentary from Reiji's part, where you know how mangaka has to constantly one up himself. So literally, the place Kazuya finds is the place Reiji is finding. So I think in a way, it's literally Reiji commenting on how artists literally lose themselves in trying to constantly one-up themselves. Kazuya literally looks like Reiji right now. Kazuya is literally trying to find this new place to satisfy the readers right now. That's why I'm rating this as a misdirect, because even Kazuya's voice actor said Kazuya in the manga right now looks like Reiji. And I think Reiji just took that and rolled with it, and he's literally projecting through Kazuya his own struggle with depicting things in the manga that I think people are not understanding. He's literally leveraging people's assumptions that Kazuya is him to tell his story, and I think that's kind of brilliant. There's a hidden meta commentary in here, and I'm kind of like, the more I think about it, the more I'm kind of starting to see it. Kazuya isn't Reiji, but Reiji is like, oh, you think Kazuya is me? Okay, I'll use him to express myself. Let's see. I was expecting okay, so blah blah blah. I'm so glad that he's headed to driving school. I still think mommy's possibly the key to getting his head on straight, but I wouldn't be surprised if she knows if she's a no-show or is distant considering what happened last time. The idea of mommy reading over her shoulder while he works on a masterpiece is giving him notes is extremely funny to me. Um, Still kind of convinced. I don't. Mommy's not the solution. Mommy is. I think every character is both the problem and the solution. And I think Mommy's solution is that he has to address Mommy in order to truly find his real solution. I think a lot of us are just looking at the symptoms and not the actual problem. So kind of convinced that Kazuya is doing is spend all his time until the last moment, July 11, agonizing over what to say, simply drowning in his lack of confidence and assuming it's all over, desperately trying to psych himself up to say his piece and end up being shocked by Chizuru shooting her shot. I don't know if she'll be able to actually say that she loves him, but I think she'll say enough for him to finally understand that she does, hopefully. Again, I do think there's a bit of a misdirect. Oh, what is this? I apologize for repeating myself, but I think we all focus on the words and the phrases of the confession, while the important thing was that Sumi instilled in him confidence and courage, the first part of this, while the mini destroyed it that by injecting with him with fear and insecurities. But Sumi's confidence is false confidence. Sumi merely, again, I wrote a whole thing about this. Sumi instilled into Kazuya false confidence. It's not real. It's not real confidence. He's kind of tricked himself. So, and Sumi doesn't really talk about like real things Kazuya did. It was never going to stick. It was never real. I think you're too busy blaming Minnie in this instance. I think Minnie is almost the groundedness he needed to snap the fuck out of it, because Sumi literally put him in La La Land. Sumi literally put Kazuya in the direction of La La Land. Like listening to her, ironically, might have been a bad fucking idea. Listening to Sumi might have actually, ironically, been a terrible fucking idea. I think it's incredibly fitting that Sumi, the character who's helped Kazuya this whole fucking time, now set him on completely the wrong path. I think that's a brilliant like misdirection that's completely just hidden in the text. It looks like Sumi helped him. I think Sumi fucked him over. I think that was the point of the quotes that Kazuya was listing and going through. He's the only reason he got these quotes is because of Sumi. The only reason you ever heard these quotes from these movies that are all tragedies in some way, shape, or form, or at least the ones I know are tragedies, is because of Sumi. It's almost like listening to Sumi was a bad fucking idea. She literally set him down the wrong path. She literally sent him down the movie idealistic path because Sumi is literally an embodiment of an ideal. I think that's the hidden misdirect of that sequence. That you think Sumi, that you think, oh no, Kazuya is doing this. In reality, the only reason Kazuya ever started reading any of these lines is because of Sumi. She got him to get all of these stupid movie quotes. She got him to confess all of these movie quotes to her. She fundamentally misunderstood what he needed help with. So if anything, I think this is one of the few instances where Minnie might have actually helped, where she actually grounded him a little bit because of the nonsense Sumi got into his fucking head. Because it was nonsense. Well, at the same time, what this is doing is grappling with Kazuya's nobody will help Kazuya. In many ways, he has to help himself, but I think Chizuru is the one who's going to help him. My point is that I think what's going on is that Kazuya has a lack of balance, and you're seeing how Minnie can critique things in a way that's helpful, but Minnie's issue is that she doesn't hit at the root of the problem, as a direct mirror to how Sumi doesn't hit at the root of the problem. Because they both fundamentally misunderstand the problem, while Minnie's criticism is good, it fundamentally misses the point. Much like how Sumi's support completely misses the fucking point. She literally grabs a book that could have helped if you had read it, and she fundamentally misunderstands the book because she never even touched it. Sumi literally didn't read any of the books she picked up, she merely took quotes from them to give him an idea of how to confess, not realizing he's already confessed. That's why all of Sumi's bullshit doesn't work. She's trying to help him to confess. He's not only confessed to her, he's kissed her, and he's dated her. Bro, Sumi doesn't know what the actual issue is. Here, give me a second. I'm gonna go grab some water. I need a second before I keep reading more. Okay. Sorry about that. I think I'm getting a little more tired than I expected. It doesn't help when we take a while to write a fucking essay and then just, you come back here and you got to stream. But we grinding today, boss. Oh, I am grinding. Will the Umi plot against Kazuya? Remember he saw Ruka grabbing Kazuya's arm. What is the setup for that? I don't think he'll be plotting against Kazuya, but I could see it as a way for Umi to misunderstand Kazuya. I could end up seeing that being as Umi misunderstands Kazuya, or it creates some sort of misunderstanding in the future. Maybe Umi will perceive Kazuya as a playboy while Chizuru is earnest. That's definitely one read I can kind of see being set up with Umi. I'm not really too sure. We'll see. I do think the Ruka plotline is going to come back in some form. I must admit that I was very surprised that the consensus about this chapter is that Minnie definitely has feelings for Kazuya, because I didn't get that impression at all. Only the contrary. I felt that she was expressing total exasperation and a bit of frustration rather than jealousy. What? I'll do my best to support this assertion using events from recent chapters, as I feel that you must go to the Joypol estate to find anything supporting Minnie as Kazuya. Given that we haven't seen much from them either, but before or since I argue here, I think so. So I think what he's gonna do, based on chapter 404, is that what he's gonna misunderstand, that Minnie might have feelings for Chizuru or something. But I think Minnie has feelings for both of them. Minnie is literally in love with the idea of them. I think I've described it earlier in an earlier stream. Hopefully I can find it. Minnie's exasperation is a product of the fact that she has now realized that Chizuru intends to continue stringing Kazuya along indefinitely following their meetings in 404. Now that she has given her explicit permission to do so, I personally believe that the realization that Chizuru's intentions have been gradually won for Minnie only fully cemented after the discussion in 414. I wanted to capture the essence of what Chizuru intends to actually do with Kazuya rather than self-serving excuses. Notice that Minnie's expression during this exchange is that of someone who's been fed a bunch of BS, which she is. In fact, Minnie expresses extreme doubt for a moment at the end of 414 about whether or not Kazuya will ever successfully with Chizuru, only to push aside these doubts for the sake of his dream. However, it's not possible for her to keep that up forever now that she knows the truth. Well, yeah. But you also conveniently skipped one piece of information. Where Minnie says, it almost feels like Kazuya doesn't deserve Chizuru. She's too good for him. And then she's like, no. She's a dream. Or sorry, no. She's like, no. He's a dream. Sorry, correcting myself. What you're kind of misunderstanding here is that Minnie has a bunch of emotions. She is jealous. And she's frustrated. Why? Because she's playing Cupid. She's literally Sumi. She's verbatim Sumi. Like Sumi, she's playing Cupid. And she doesn't like playing Cupid. Ain't no way Reiji will put LGBT themes in there. In what? In what? We talking about? You mean like Minnie liking Chizuru? If you think Rent-A-Girlfriend doesn't have any LGBTQ representation, you might have been reading the wrong manga, because I think it's always been there. Chizuru literally is a sex worker. Like on surface level, she's a sex worker. Sex workers are marginalized people. They're literally targeted. Mommy is a vulnerable individual, literally controlled by her dad. Kazuya literally doesn't fit into the norm of what it means to be a man. Every single character is subversive from traditional gender norms. Even the ones who look like their traditional gender norms aren't. Minnie is low-key trying super hard to fit in for most of the story when she is literally horny for Chizuru half the fucking time. Yet we've never seen her horny for a dude ever. We've never seen her horny for a dude ever. However, we have seen her horny for Chizuru and only Chizuru. Literally no one else. She doesn't get horny over Kazuya. She reacts to his compliments and she blushes. I think what it is that Minnie has physical desires for Chizuru and emotional desires for Kazuya. Kazuya fulfills her emotional desires, Chizuru fulfills her physical desires. Oh, come on. Oh, come on. I thought I was charging the stupid phone. Ugh. Okay, well, give me a sec. I must, when the fuck did I unplug you? Fucking, damn it. I gotta find a better solution than my phone. Okay, let me move my thing out of the way. It's too big now. There we go. Moved it out of the way. No, so I do absolutely think that no, I just don't agree with that. I think you're fixating on one aspect when there are multiple. I think everybody has their own interpretation, not realizing every one of them might be true in some form. Notice that Minnie's expression. Okay, so BS will ever be successful. Yep. We already know this. Minnie doesn't think he's ever going to be successful with Chizuru, and she doesn't want to play Cupid. Whereas she feels physical desire for Chizuru, she feels emotional desire for Kazuya. Desire does not necessarily correlate to love, and I think people are misunderstanding that. Much has been made of Minnie's iconic gaze in 418, which could be interpreted as being an expression of almost anything given that we only see her eyes. However, I personally see this as being a look of pity. Gaze. Okay. No, I don't view this as pity. No, she's getting something she wants here. She's seeing that part of Kazuya that she admires. I don't view this as pity. I think she wants someone to step up like that for her. That's how I read it. I don't simply view it as pity. I think she views it as a waste. I think she views it as a waste. She thinks Chizuru is undeserving and she wants that, which is literally meant to also mirror Mommy, because Mommy is also Minnie's mirror. However, personally, this is being a little pity, knowing that Kazuya's efforts towards planning another confession will be totally wasted on Chizuru. So why does Minnie express support for his plans immediately after the gaze? In my view, it's because she admires that part of Kazuya that never gives up on his dreams, and she can't bring herself to destroy it, even if it might be for his own good. And would he even listen to her anyway? Minnie knows better than anyone just how deep his delusions about Chizuru run. Are they delusions, though? It sounds like you're reading it as a delusion. I admit that this is the weakest part of the argument, and that's what makes Minnie's gaze might depend more on an opinion of the person making the judgment rather than an objective fact. Now, we come to the most recent chapter where Minnie comments that Chizuru is a lucky girl. After Kazuya expresses his desire to not exchange his phone for a new one in order to keep using the cheap phone case she once bought him, one of the few things she ever gave him, mind you. It's certainly possible to interpret this as Minnie being jealous of Chizuru if you took a literal reading of the panel. Given the blank expression she made both immediately before and while delivering the line, I personally read it as being a deadpan, even a bit sarcastic, as if she's sardonically pointing out the fact that Kazuya's feelings are totally wasted on someone like Chizuru. Yes, so that's jealousy. You're describing jealousy, bro. When you think so, yes, the camera died. I'm just recharging my phone. The camera died. I'm just recharging my phone. It needs like a few seconds. It should be up and running shortly. No, so like literally what you're describing is jealousy. Because that's what if you think someone's emotions are wasted on someone else and you think that person is undeserving of those emotions, are you not jealous and wish to have them? Now you could argue technically no. But to say Minnie is absolutely not jealous of Chizuru is nonsense. Because she was jealous of Kazuya 2 fucking seconds ago. Minnie just can't play Cupid anymore. Again, like I said earlier, she's literally like Sumi. She doesn't want to be Cupid anymore. She's catching her own feelings, even if those feelings are merely desires. What Minnie is feeling for Kazuya, in my opinion, is not love, it is desire, and there's a difference. What she gets from Kazuya is an emotional desire, what she gets from Chizuru is a physical desire. Um Anyway, this is one where I feel the translations made a difference on how the line was perceived, with Minnie's line in the raws containing a bit more exasperation and irritation, a bit less for her being flustered with Kazuya's expression. Okay, I swear to God, if the raws that he's using have an AI translation, I swear to fucking God. Okay, this tells me nothing. I'm gonna check with Crumpy. I have lost faith in people telling me what things are supposed to say. I'm gonna listen to an actual Japanese fan and have them, or not full on Japanese, but here I'll just ask a Japanese person. Hey, is there like irritation in Minnie's words here? If anything, I kind of read Minnie's expression here as, oh, here we go again. So like, this is kind of how I read this, is like, oh, here we go again. That's my interpretation. But she is jealous. You can be jealous and annoyed and frustrated. That's how I read that. So, but I do read that scene as like, oh, here we go again. Okay. Phone, how we doing? You up and running yet? Okay. What the hell? Oh, I downloaded it, so it's not on the thing. Oops. Oops. Does Minnie sound irritated? I can't write. Irritated. I already spelled it wrong and I know. Fuck. Whatever. Here. Like when she says, Chizuru is a lucky girl. Okay, brain. Remember how to write the word irritated. That still feels wrong. Why can't I write? You know what? Fuck it. We're gonna be a bitch. We're gonna be a little fucking bitch. Irritated. Oh, we're taking our sweet fucking time today, yeah? I knew it. I fucking knew it. Oh, so there was a double R. Ugh. Hey, when I forget how to spell things and then my brain is just like, fuck you. Fuck you in particular. Fuck you today. You know, I'm gonna just put you on blast for being the fucking clown that you are. You talk about writing, but you can't fucking write for shit. This is too slow. Okay, I'm gonna do this. Okay. Close. Or just lower it. Go down, please. Fuck. Okay. I'm sure that some will argue this is a distinction without a difference. It is still Minnie's expressing exasperation, even possibly irritation, at Kazuya's blind devotion to Chizuru. However, I disagree, as I see her reaction as being more like somebody watching a friend go through a horrible relationship, powerless to do anything about it, rather than her wanting him for herself. Except she can do something about it. She's choosing not to. Minnie can do something about it. She's choosing not to. Here, why are we lying here? She can do something. She's just convinced herself she can't. She's continuing to play Cupid even though she doesn't want to. She's fucking lying. Okay. So sorry, I'm setting up my phone. think we're up and running again. Okay. And we're back. Let's see. I think Minnie. Okay, so I haven't read a few comments here. She just thinks Chizuru's way too perfect the way she talks, looks, prevents herself, and considerate about others. That doesn't change the fact that she's been horny. Bro, did you not read the chapter where she was in the bathroom with her and she was literally checking her out? She was literally fucking checking her out, and she's just like, no, it's nothing. You just got like mad goods. She literally constantly tries to steal her fucking panties, bro. I'm sorry, if you think Minnie's not horny for Chizuru, then you're not reading the same manga. She's horny as shit for Chizuru. Okay. I think Minnie desires a relationship with Kazuya and Chizuru as she witnesses how caring they are towards each other, as she is in the latest chapter that Chizuru is very lucky to have Kazuya. And also she says that before Chizuru is too perfect for Kazuya. Yeah, exactly. It's contradictory by design. Anyways, let's see. Minnie is going to be the last challenge or final boss for Chizuru. It makes sense if we consider that Chizuru has to come to terms and show the audience she's really worth it. I disagree with that reading. I don't think Minnie is the final boss. I don't think there really is a final boss except for yourself. The whole point of the current narrative is yourself and your presentation and who you are and what you want to tell the world. Nobody's the final boss. Vinland Saga, I have no enemies. That's how I'm reading it. There is no final boss. Minnie is not an enemy. Minnie is not an enemy. Minnie is her sister, and she's treating herself, and she's treating Chizuru, like she's not really her sister. Minnie is kind of like failing as a family. I think that's a misunderstanding of Minnie's character. She's not the final boss. There's no final boss in this. The final boss is yourself. The final boss is you. You have to face yourself and your own trauma and your own pain and your own choices. Nobody else. Minnie is not the final boss. Minnie isn't the audience. I like I mentioned before, this was a misreading on my part. Minnie is not the audience. Minnie is not the audience. Minnie merely reads manga like the audience. That's it. Minnie just reads manga like the audience. That's it. Minnie reacts like the audience because she's a person who reads manga just like we do. And she happens to be in a manga. So she's literally like a meta character. Think of her like Deadpool. She's like a meta character. We literally misread Minnie. I've been labeling her as the surrogate of the audience. No, she's the voice of the audience specifically because she reads manga like us. That's it. That's how Reiji described her. That's literally how Reiji described her. Like that's what he said on his Twitter space. Like I was asking him, I was really curious. I was asking him, and he's like, "No, I think you just misunderstand Minnie. She's literally just a person who reads manga." And so rather, I think the audience, and in this case, Minnie, have to come to terms with themselves. They have to come to terms with themselves, not Chizuru. Just as Chizuru has to come to terms with herself. In facing herself, she can face Minnie, who is her mirror. She can face Mommy, who is a inverted mirror of her. Mommy is her dark mirror. She can face Ruka, who she isn't quite who she thought she was. You know? She can face Sumi in many respects. Sumi, this person who's been support for her, is in many ways also lying to herself. Chizuru has to face everyone. Every single character is the final boss, and nobody is. And it's kind of brilliant. It's kind of brilliant that you are the final boss. You're the one stopping this. You're the one not living your life. You're the one wasting it. And that applies to every character without exception. Every single character. They are their own final boss. So you're saying the whole idea of Kazuya repeating the idea of Joypolis by choosing the farm is a complete misdirect. Yes. I think so. I think Reiji is intentionally structuring everything to be identical. He literally has identical and very similar titles as before. Everything looks the same. It looks like we're heading down the same exact path, and that's a misdirect. I think we're going to get a negative. It's not going to be the negative we think. And then I think this arc is going to end very positively. I think this arc is literally challenging your beliefs. It is giving you every possible idea that this will go wrong. It is giving you every possible idea that this will go wrong, and it will actually go right. Because it went wrong. Because, unlike last time, where because everything looked like it was going right, it ended up going wrong. Now it looks like everything is going wrong. It's like pretty plain in your face that like nothing seems to be going okay. Nothing seems to be going okay right now. Everything seems wrong, you know? And the story is literally challenging you to believe. It's telling you, okay, you're going to hit a low. It's going to suck. But this is going to turn out good. This is going to turn out good. Probably better than you've ever been in the entire manga. I think the setup Reiji is building here is like monumental. I think if this really lands, like if this is what I'm reading it to be, if this shit lands, dude, monumental cook. This dude cooked for like a bunch of years, and he's gonna make this shit, like he's gonna knock this out of the park. Like if he lands this, it is not a home run. He hit that thing into the fucking stratosphere. Okay? Like if he lands what I think he's building, he's hitting this into the goddamn stratosphere. I ain't reading all that. I ain't reading all that. As I write a long ass essay. I write a long ass essay, and then I see someone's essay, I'm like, I ain't reading all that. Dude, I'm such a dick sometimes. I like JoJo Maniacal stuff. He's been writing some interesting stuff. People are so schizophrenic about the opinion of Minnie, and it's really funny to watch. In my eyes, the exact same thing people were criticizing Minnie for saying in chapter 390, 397 is no different than what she's saying now. People keep reflexively cringing at Kazuya's masterpiece, and that's fair. But it's really the wrong takeaway to say he needs to trim it down. The proof is that there's a wrong way to think about it is in the chapter title itself. The date on the boyfriend 25. So thematically, this is a continuation of the pre-Joypolis date where Kazuya learned a bunch of bad habits and completely covered his genuine strengths. This in turn caused a huge amount of issues in the date proper. Chizuru fell in love with the cringy, raw, real version of Kazuya, so let him be cringe. As usual, there's so much being layered in this chapter that it's hard to really break it down in a satisfactory way. Yeah, to be honest, I'm also having a hard time like breaking down some of these chapters, especially the Sumi chapters, because I'm like still kind of figuring them out. Even the Sumi chapters, I'm still kind of piecing together like a little bit at a time. It doesn't help that I've also been writing about Hawaiians, which is also directly connected to this. And we've been learning a lot about Hawaiians too as we're watching it in the anime. Like a lot of the stuff that I've written is and the stuff I've talked about in my previous streams are kind of like new explorations even for me, where I've started seeing Hawaiians in a slightly different light too, where there are like I didn't fully see the abuse element until I was like literally watching it. And now that I have like a better understanding of how abuse functions, I'm like seeing this like, oh shit, this was all there. Holy fuck, how did I not clock this? It's like when you watch a movie as a kid and then you get older and then you suddenly start seeing all the like sexual innuendos in the movie and you didn't clock any of that shit. The text was garbage, but Kazuya really put an effort to make that garbage. Minnie should be more considerate of him. No, I actually don't think it's garbage. I think the problem is that in that text that you perceive as garbage, there's actually a light. There's a hidden gem underneath everything. And that gem is specifically, what are you trying to say here? Because I actually saw a lot of stuff in there that like directly connected to like hints of the real Kazuya. So his star metaphors, the redundancy of his words, those are subtle indicators to how Kazuya has essentially been saying the same thing. How Chizuru is like a star to him. But why is she the star? You know, why are you repeating yourself? Why do you feel the need to repeat yourself? Do you see how like what appears to be garbage to you might actually have a different meaning? Minnie's assessment is wrong, specifically because she thinks it needs to be trimmed and presented better. When in reality, the question is, what are you trying to say here? And what is actually being indicated in the little pieces of the text that you wrote? That's what's brilliant about it. That text is full of things Kazuya himself is trying to express. Much like how a lot of the things that he got for, the quotes he got from movies are full of little subtle things that he's trying to express that you're not catching. Like all of them are references to something. They're all connected to something. And there's also like the subtle details of the parallels between Sumi and Kazuya's dates, where in some ways he's expressing stuff for Chizuru, and in others it looks like he's expressing it for Sumi. And that jumbled mess is the point. There is subtlety to every single thing that is being quoted. Okay. As usual, there's so much layered. Okay, yeah, okay. So I'm going to focus on what I see as some ongoing tension in Kazuya's growth as a character. Kazuya is really feeling himself and starting to gain some confidence. I think we can safely say that this is a very superficial confidence. Yeah. But fake it until you make it is a solid advice for a reason. No, it's not. That is advice that is fundamentally misunderstood. Fake it until you make it is not what people think it is. I genuinely believe this. Fake it until you make it is not what people think it is. It's not about fake it until you make it. That's not what you're actually doing it. You're literally just telling it's like just reaffirming to yourself, keep doing it, you're doing fine. But lying to yourself to get to your destination doesn't work. Lying to yourself to get to your destination doesn't work. That's not a thing. Fake it till you make it is not a thing. It's not a real advice. It's an advice people convince themselves is real. It's not real advice. It's people essentially tricking themselves into thinking I'm gonna make it. But the reason this advice works for some people is because they can actually make it. The reason this advice works for some people is because they can actually make it. However, the people who are fucking lying to themselves, they don't make it. They literally don't. And I think this is where advice like this is misunderstood, because it's a very specific set of advice that works for certain people who aren't actually lying to themselves. Fake it till you make it doesn't work. I'm a key example of this. I tried faking it in the past and it never fucking worked. You know, it doesn't fucking work. I've experienced it personally. I've tried faking it until I made it and I didn't fucking make it. You know, but it helped me learn where I was fucking up, and that's how I started making it. Because I'm like, oh, I'm just doing this wrong. That's how I learned. I made it because I fucked up by trying to fake it. I tried fake it till you make it when it comes to tests. Works for me. How does that even work? What'd you do? What'd you do? How does that even work? Again, it could work for you. It doesn't necessarily mean it'll work for someone else. It's not necessarily like solid advice. It just looks like solid advice. It's like what you take away from it. I was literally saying like, oh, it works for some people. It doesn't necessarily work for other people. Let's see. Sometimes I find it funny how deeply some people analyze things. Like they straight up write a very long essays. Lol. What's wrong with that? That's awesome. I think people should write more long essays. Yeah, sometimes we can write a bunch of nonsense. I mean, I write super long essays and people like fucking comment on it constantly telling me I'm a fucking idiot, and I get exhausted listening to people. You know, I'm so just so you know, I'm the type of person who loves praise. I relate to Chizuru in that regard. I love praise. I like it when people tell me I'm doing good. Oh, you're so smart. You know? And I'm not great when people criticize me, but what I've been trying to do lately is like, okay, let's engage. I don't like this, but I'm going to engage. And I've been doing that a lot. I've actually been doing it like for a very long time, to be honest, but it still freaks me out. Like every single time, it still freaks me out. I've been doing it for years, and it still even now freaks me out. I don't like confrontation. I fucking despise confrontation, but I still do it because I think it's necessary to learn. Um, but then when I get praised, I'm like, yeah, yeah. Tests on my biology test. You're not explaining to me what you did, where you faked it till you maked it. Like, what'd you fake? I fake my test experiments in front of my classmates to make myself look smart. Huh. Okay. But I feel like someone who saw that would have clocked it. Like, if someone knew, they would have clocked it right away. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, that's why that doesn't make sense. If a teacher like knew what you were doing, they would have clocked it instantly. I had students trying to fake it till they make it, and boy, did it backfire on them. And people thought I was the smartest in the class. That's funny. Um, I don't know. I that just goes to show people are easily tricked. That doesn't mean you really made it. You didn't really learn anything. You didn't really fake it till you make it or anything. You like did you actually like learn stuff, or were you just pretending the whole time? See how like it doesn't really work? It's like, yeah, you faked it. Did you really make it? Like maybe to you made it, but like if I was in that position, I didn't feel like I would have made it. Anyways, I'm gonna keep reading. I just don't think that advice actually works. I think we can safely say this. Okay, so I think most importantly though is that it's not too caught up with his appearances. Is that even after doing all that, he was able to come up with this takeaway. Letting himself get caught up in his doubts won't help. It's better to plow ahead in confidence. I think that's exactly what's going to backfire because there are so many problems he's ignoring in plowing ahead. He's ignoring all his problems in plowing ahead. That's exactly what's going to backfire. And the result of that is the cringe masterpiece. I think I may memorize it and hang it on my wall. The thing is a work of art. It's got tortured metaphors, mixed metaphors, poor grammatical structure, run-ons, repetitives as all get out, and it took me all fucking night to slap out a mere 1,400 words. I only have so many chef's kisses to give. I mean, yeah, there was poor grammatical structure, fair enough. Mixed, what's a mixed metaphor? I know tortured metaphors. What's a mixed metaphor? Like he combined two different metaphors. Yeah, it was full of run-ons. Fucking absolutely. I am a master of run-ons. Like I do that all the goddamn time, so I can tell you there's a lot of run-ons. Like when I write essays, there's run-ons, bro. I am a run-on king. So tell me when I just know when I tell you there are run-ons in his fucking sentences. So much. It took him all fuck. Okay, yeah. No notes, Kazuya. Please say that verbatim to Chizuru. You will win 1000%. Okay. And that was my honest impression of the first reading it. I worried that I'd get an ocular damage from rolling my eyes at Minnie when she came in with her critiques. Minnie, you have zero skin in the game and cannot even express a single jealous sentence aloud, let alone share this much raw emotion with a friend. Kazuya is ready for emotional intimacy, and Minnie seems to go out of her way to stunt it. She's so certain about how things are going to go with Chizuru that she calls her a hooked fish just ready to reel in. Girl, that fish might not even be in the same ocean anymore, let alone hooked. And the line about falling in after getting caught, well, guess how Chizuru fell for him to begin with. Oh, shit, he right though. Right? How did Chizuru like start catching well, no, that's not when it started. She already had feelings from the get-go, but like when her heart first started beating was when he jumped in to save her like a hero. So you know, Minnie's statement is pretty fucking stupid when you look at it this way. Anyway, Minnie is wrong if you think she's right. Well, maybe reconsider what you think that. I guarantee says more about how you present yourself in a relationship than anything else. Like I said, the way Minnie is writing it, or sorry, the way Minnie is telling him to do things is literally how you critique an essay. In particular, how people critique essays as a thing you're presenting. She's literally framing it around presentation. Like, I bet you if you presented what Kazuya wrote to a YouTuber, and they would actually try to take it seriously, they would say almost what Minnie said verbatim. Like the same thing on the dot. Like no fucking notes, you know? And it's literally the kind of thing like your teacher would tell you when writing an essay. However, that's not the point. You know, I think Minnie absolutely missed the fucking point. After that disaster session with Minnie, it's all about date plans. Kazuya really racks his brain about this stuff, and it's just like the last date. He becomes so fixated on providing a novel experience for Chizuru. He's still completely missing what makes a place truly special, but he's getting there just to trust the process. I think Reiji really wanted to highlight him rejecting a return to Shimoda, the beach, because it highlights his dark past. It's kind of similar to how you discuss with some with Shinobuyo syndrome in Japan, which is basically being cringe as hell in middle school, thinking you can summon demons and funny shit like that. I find it very akin to how the masterpiece is depicted here, and I already made the point above previously with Minnie and the fish, but Chizuru started to fall in love with him and Shimoda. No, she didn't. No. This is an incorrect reading. I disagree. This is an incorrect reading. I disagree with that. Chizuru did not start falling in love with him and Shimoda. She actually already liked him from the get-go. Chapter 1. I'm not kidding. She liked him from chapter 1. I'm not even remotely kidding. When she saw the real him, and he said that cringe shit, and she slapped him, she actually liked that. She actually liked that cringe shit. And no better scene proves it than the end of Hawaiians. No better scene proves it than the end of Hawaiians. She liked him from chapter 1. She liked him before he started walking away. Like, I'll show you two different things to prove my point. One, okay, the end of Hawaiians. What's the last thing she remembers? Literally from chapter 1. It's literally from chapter 1. In chapter 2, there's a scene where she's walking away, and she literally indicates to him she would have dated him if not for her dream. That is literally indicated to him in she's like, I'm sorry, I can't quit my job right now and date you. There's something I really need to do. She kind of indicates that to him. When he walks away in Shimoda before he jumps in to save her. So before he ever jumps in to save her, there's a scene where he's walking away where they seemingly broke up. It's not that Chizuru began to fall in love with Kazuya in that moment. It's that Kazuya realized he loved her. That was the difference. No. The scene on Shimoda is Kazuya realizing he loved her while she was starting to feel things like more physical desire. That's all. Her heart was beating while he realized he loved her. Kazuya liked her from the start just as she liked him from the start. They both liked each other from the get-go. Like literally chapter 1. And I'm trying... Right here. Okay. Kazuya says, I suck, I'm terrible. Chizuru's like, it was fun, it really was. Look at her. He walks away and she's sad. He walks away and she's sad. She doesn't want to part with him. It's Kazuya who doesn't realize he loves her. She actually liked him from the get-go. She didn't fall in love with him in Shimoda. She fell in love with him in chapter 1. And I don't mean loving it. Like, I mean, she started catching feelings, like emotional feelings and resonance. She was literally bonding with him. She was literally connecting to him, just as he was connecting to her. They were literally connecting, not they were already in love, you know, because love takes time. Chizuru didn't fall in love with him in Shimoda. If anything, it was literally showing you Kazuya fell in love with her because he literally dived in to get her. He literally dived in to get her. He's the one who fell in love with her. She fell in love prior. She fell in love prior. She started catching some feelings prior. Okay. The other thing I want to say is that what does Kazuya think will happen in his relationship with Chizuru once they have literally been to all the places? Does he think he can only be with Chizuru as long as different venues exist? It really just serves to highlight something he's subconsciously avoiding in his thoughts about Chizuru. What is it that Chizuru really wants on this date? Yep. Again, that's kind of what I've been saying too. The problem, what the chapter is doing is literally misdirecting you away from what the actual intent is supposed to be. You're literally being misdirected away, intentionally so, by every single aspect of the narrative. And Minnie criticizing the text, she's fundamentally misunderstanding what the actual problem is. Once I finish reading this, I'll show you what I mean. I literally had a clip where I was describing this in an earlier stream. So I do hope that somehow they get back to the beach because it feels like it would bring everything full circle. That being said, it looks like Kazuya has set his sights on the nice little farm resort that you can go tour and see all the sights. There's something you miss from the English translation that it's a raw version. Apparently, the timestamp for the Twitter is 6:23, which means almost a full week has passed since his rental date with Minnie or Sumi, on 6/17. Things are starting to move quite fast now, and we're only a couple of weeks away from July 11th. Next week is flower fields. It's almost surely a double entendre. One meaning being that there are literal flower fields that you can see at the farm. Yeah. Two being the Japanese that this expression is similar to having your head in the clouds. Really? Oh, that you have a head full of flowers kind of thing. Interesting. Interesting. And I think there's a third meaning where it's definitely connected to Hawaiians and how Kazuya described Chizuru like a flower. She is literally his fucking flower. She's literally like a brilliant flower. And do you know why that works so well? Sayuri's name means big lily. Chizuru's mom name, Kasumi, means like a flower. Flowers are directly connected to Chizuru's name. To her lineage. Flowers are directly connected to Chizuru's lineage. So his head being in the flowers is literally his head is stuck on Chizuru. It's not just a double entendre, it's a triple meaning. What's it? How do you go above a double entendre and have like a triple meaning? Can you go above a double entendre? That's a really stupid question. Can you go above a double entendre? That's a stupid fucking question. Of course you probably can, but like what would that be called? Oh, so it's just triple and quadruple. So it's like, okay, you could say it's a triple entendre then. There we go. I just didn't realize, like I thought it would be triple, but I wasn't sure. So I'm like, let's check. So yeah, I guess it's just a triple entendre where it's like a triple name because Chizuru literally has a lineage of flowers tied to her name. Like, bro. Um, let's see. To the end, I really get the feeling that we will be at the farm already next chapter, and Kazi will fall in love with the place, convinced that this is a place that will be perfect to bring Chizuru to. It's another chapter that wants to jerk us and Kazi around here and there, but I think we're getting really close to the harvest. Let's hope we don't find ourselves under the scythe when it happens. Oh, that's a nice nod there. Scythe, because you farm with a scythe. Okay. It's already 8 o'clock. So I think I'll stop here. I'm gonna pull up the thing I said before from last stream. metaphors. She never asks, why does the star metaphor exist? She's his editor. She's trying to appeal to a general audience. It's way too long. Plus, look at these lenses. This feels like Reiji, like writing what his editors fucking told him in the past. That's what this feels like. This is what my editors fucking said in the past. So I'm gonna fucking put it down, like word for word, bro. Word for word, bro. Right? And don't you feel fucking embarrassed when your art is critiqued? Don't you feel fucking stupid when someone tells you what you wrote is stupid? Right? You put your heart and soul into something. And then some person just says, oh, it's dumb. And you're redundant and it's stupid. Black and white perspective. Kazuya is too white and no darkness, so he can't see it. Minnie looks like Kazuya's darkness, but all she is just white. Or sorry, all she is black. She literally drinks a black, weird Kool-Aid fucking juice. Remember, she still has the weird Kool-Aid juice. And on top of that, she's literally wearing black now. He's literally demonized her. He's turned her into a demon. That's kind of cool. You're literally seeing Minnie transform into a monster. That's kind of cool. Fair opportunities to do. Has a version of that song. I'm not fucking wrong. Dude, look me dead in the fucking eye and tell me I'm fucking correct. Word. About that is that shadow defines how that light looks to you. This is their truth. With a still imagines Chizuru wearing this. This is really funny. He says that he doesn't realize how carried away he acted. Chizuru stuff. Talk about it. No, that's why. So she turns away and she pretends to not be interested. And I would bet you right now, in the Japanese, she's probably speaking with a disinterested tone. In the Japanese, I could bet you right now that I think not many people realize. Minnie mislabeled the issue and didn't see the actual issue. She thought it was about the phone. It wasn't about the phone, it was about the case. That's what it was. That's what it was. Okay, that's what it was. She thought the writing was bad. The confession was, the confession needs adjustments. She didn't realize the confession is not the issue. She literally mislabeled the problem. She saw the symptom of the problem, not the root. There we go. Just as with the phone case, she didn't realize it was about the phone case. She thought it was about the phone. I was wondering, I'm like, what the fuck did I say? I said something really good. These two scenes work in tandem. You need one and the other. You literally need one and the other. It doesn't work without the other. And that's exactly paralleled with the end of the chapter, where the beginning of the chapter starts with Kazuya looking himself in the mirror. The end of the chapter is Kazuya literally actually looking handsome by the end of the chapter. So when you get to the very end of the chapter, Kazuya quite literally looks handsome. Whereas in the very beginning of the chapter, he's looking himself in the mirror and telling himself he's handsome when he doesn't look handsome. And then when he's exploring, when he's seeing something new and beautiful, he actually looks handsome. The first scene is informed by the second. Just as Minnie fundamentally misunderstands the issue, so too does she fundamentally misunderstand what the phone case means for Kazuya. Because while Kazuya has this memory, Minnie doesn't see that. Yeah, Minnie doesn't know the importance of the phone. But she gets to feel how Chizuru felt in that moment. In particular, let me pull that up because otherwise. Yeah. And then you look at Chizuru here and you look at Chizuru there, and it's that to be expected look. She has the same to be expected look. But it's a bit of an enchanted look. Look at this. Yep. It's verbatim the fucking same. It's ironically a lack of surprise. However, look at that. Look at that. Where's the lack of surprise come from? Lack of surprise. Geez, Chizuru-san is one lucky girl. Chizuru? Fuck. He's hot as fuck. God, I'm so lucky for him. It's almost like Chizuru is thinking the same fucking thing. Look at me clock this. I'm so fucking lucky. Look at me clock this. It's almost like Chizuru was thinking the same exact thing. But when Minnie first sees it, it's what happens with Chizuru every time Kazuya says shit like this. She literally says, like, she literally lacks surprise. Every time Kazuya does shit like this, Chizuru is literally, like, not surprised. She's like, God, oh, here we go. Oh, here we go. Here, I remember a good chapter. I remember a good chapter that shows this. I'm going to show you another here we go moment where Kazuya says some crazy shit and Chizuru's like, are you fucking serious? Hey, remember this? Kazuya, I'll wait for you like 20 fucking years. And look at Chizuru, just look at him. The fuck are you saying? The fuck are you saying? He just looks at him. The fuck are you saying? It's impressive how similar Chizuru and Minnie are when you dig deep. Oh no, they're literally sisters. See, this is the incredible tragedy that Minnie does not understand. Chizuru is just like her. Minnie thinks her and Chizuru are completely different. She doesn't realize how similar they really are. The birthday party shows it. Minnie literally describes Chizuru's feelings perfectly. Perfectly. Like, I mean, she clocks it like on the dot. Exactly how Chizuru felt. But when she turns to Chizuru, her eyes are closed. She doesn't see her sister. She doesn't realize Chizuru and her feel exactly the same way. She doesn't know. She doesn't realize how similar they are. In fact, that's the whole point of their meetup in chapter 413 and 414. Minnie's literally looking at her mirror and she's blind. She looks at her mirror and thinks, this isn't me, this is someone else. Not realizing this person is exactly her. She literally can't empathize with Chizuru because Chizuru literally looks different. Chizuru literally looks different from Minnie, so Minnie can't empathize with her. She's literally judging Chizuru by her appearance. She literally can't see her goddamn sister because of her appearance. Because she's so busy being jealous of her. She's not jealous. She's jealous of Chizuru. She's not. She's jealous of the affection she's getting because she wants that for herself. Minnie only sees the surface just like Kazuya. She's convinced herself to see only the surface. She's tricked herself to only look at the surface. So it's incredibly fitting that you say when you dig deep enough. Because Minnie is choosing not to. She doesn't want to dig deep enough. She tells herself she is, but she's lying. She goes to dig for information from Chizuru, and she doesn't actually look at her. She doesn't actually see her. She's too busy being jealous of her. And no scene better describes that. I think this will be a great spot to stop. No scene better describes this than how Minnie reacts to Chizuru when Chizuru shows up. Oh, what the hell? Okay. When Minnie is at this place, the first thing you see is these people hitting on her. She's not even dressed well, and they're hitting on her. When Chizuru shows up, they're too freaked out to hit on her, but they want to hit on her. And look at Minnie. She gets jealous. Instant jealousy. Stuck in a daze as she looks at Chizuru. And what is her reaction to seeing Chizuru? Oh, you're too busy knocking me out of the park. Could you not knock me out of the park? As she closes her eyes. Chizuru half lies. Well, this was on my way home from work. True, but she also kind of cashed out to look for Kazuya specifically in case he showed up. Minnie doesn't notice this. Minnie doesn't notice any of this. She's too busy looking at Chizuru and being jealous. It's tragic. She literally doesn't see her friend because she's so busy being jealous of her. Because of how these dudes she doesn't care about reacted. She literally turned these dudes down in a tiny ass fucking frame. They're a bunch of fucking nobodies. But she lets them decide how she feels about Chizuru because of societal presentation. Do you see the problem? She literally doesn't see this person who is quite literally her sister. She fights with her sister. She gets into arguments with her. She wants to say she's an Iron Lady because if Chizuru is an Iron Lady, it lets Minnie be okay with the fact that Chizuru could never be anything like her. Because Chizuru is so different, she can't possibly relate to her. It's easier for Minnie to not relate to Chizuru if Chizuru is so stubborn and different and weird. But in reality, what Minnie doesn't realize is that everything Minnie says, Chizuru agrees with or relates to. Even when she tells her to just date him, she's like, yeah, I want to, help me find a reason to. But she can't just say that because Minnie will just go rattle it to Kazuya. Minnie is so busy being Kazuya's support that she doesn't support Chizuru at all. That's the problem. She's so busy just ratting everything out to Kazuya that she doesn't support Chizuru at all. She doesn't give her a space of confidence where she can just talk to her and nothing is going to happen. She's always just Kazuya, 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 Kazuya. She's Kazuya's friend. She's not Chizuru's friend. And that's incredibly sad. She's literally turning on her friend in favor of the ship. She's so busy shipping, she's not being her friend. And that, I think, is a good representation of the audience and how we act, that we're so busy shipping these characters that we're not being their friends. Anyways, I'm going to just call it here for tonight. I'll see you guys. I'll see if I'll stream tomorrow. I'm not sure, but I know we'll stream Monday for sure. I got Monday off, so we'll stream Monday for sure. Tomorrow, I'm not sure because I might have a long shift, but we'll get back to it. See you guys later. Have a good night. Bye-bye. Chizuru's beauty sometimes is like a curse, so society buries that person in order to show the looks. Exactly. That's literally Chizuru's issue. I was describing it when I was talking about chapter 218, where the whole point of Hawaiians is that everybody's so busy looking at how beautiful Chizuru is that no one sees her, whereas Kazuya, in contrast, is literally just invisible. They don't see him because of his looks, and they see her because of her looks. Chizuru's love is erased in favor of how she looks. Kazuya's identity is erased in favor of his emotions, in favor of what he gives out. Everyone wants Chizuru to fall in love with Kazuya's emotions, not with him. He doesn't matter in the picture because he's nothing special. It's literally how Kibe described him. He's nothing special. Fall in love with his feelings, not him. Whereas in contrast, Kazuya wants Chizuru's feelings. But he's forgetting who she is. He's so busy looking at her identity, he's forgetting her feelings. That's the issue. Chizuru's feelings are being erased, whereas Kazuya's identity is being erased. So Chizuru is trying to find her feelings outside of Kazuya in many ways. I think that's a huge part of the separation. She's willingly choosing separation so that she can look at her feelings without Kazuya's presence. See him for him and not his emotions. You know, actually really look at him and what she likes about him. You know, if she can see what she's missing about him, maybe she can find her answer, you know. I think maybe that's the intent. That could possibly be her intent. You know, and taking time away, she's able to look at this in a more grounded way, to really see him for him. And make the people around her feel inferior to her. That's what her grandma even told her. She's like, you rained on Chizuru's mom used to rain on everyone's parade because she was so pretty. Chizuru is like, I'll make the rain work for me. I'm not gonna let my beauty ruin how other people see me. But she seemingly got over the kiss already from her last appearance. If you think that, you're fucking silly. If you actually think that, that's fucking hilarious. She's literally been thinking about it nonstop. She's thinking about it more than him. Every time you fucking see her, she's thinking about it. The one time you see her, and it's like a brief millisecond of just her finishing cleaning, and you don't get a flash, oh, she's over it. Come on. Come on. You have to know how that fucking sounds. That sounds stupid. Oh, the one time you get a frame of her just not reacting to the kiss for the billionth fucking time. Oh, she must be over it. What? What? Okay, that's a good spot to stop.